welcome to another episode of Building Families in the Faith. I'm Brian Johnson. This is my lovely wife, Rebecca, and we are thrilled that you are with us. We love our family, of course, and we have a huge burden for helping others and to have a family that is God-pleasing, a family that brings joy to our own hearts as well. And when we do rear our kids properly, we will have children that will be pleasing to us as well, not only to God, but to us, as the Bible teaches. So today we're going to go a little bit to philosophy, a little bit, and then we'll come back to some of the nuts and bolts. But I'd like to say a few of some philosophies to get us going in the right direction. In Proverbs 23, and starting in verse number 24, in Proverbs 23:24, the Bible says, "The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him." Verse 25 also says, "Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she shall bear thee, shall rejoice." Verse number 26 is the one I want to focus on a little bit more. "My son, give me thy heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways." Here we see that if we do rear a righteous child, if we rear a wise child, it will bring joy to the parents.
Right, exactly.
And it is a huge joy to be able to watch your children grow, and as they're adults, to walk in wisdom, to walk in righteousness. But that will only happen if you rear them when they're a kid, and when they're younger, and take them into the right direction. Today I want us to understand, here we see, "Give me thine heart," and I do want us to understand the importance of having that child's heart. And one of the philosophies or principles here of how we can acquire that. And today the focus today is on discipline or attention, and we need both of them, and we're going to give a little more details about that as we go along here.
Right. Now, we do want to start out by clarifying something. You may have heard this model before, but we do want to point out that discipline is a form of love when done correctly.
Yes.
So rather than choosing to use the words love and discipline to explain this, we're going to use the words attention and discipline, because both are forms of love when administered correctly. And so we want to clarify that, because you might have heard this principle before, but using almost like they're opposites, love and discipline, that discipline's a bad thing, and it isn't. It is a form of love when done correctly. So we want to clarify that as we get into this lesson today.
Yes. And possibly next week, there's three key principles or three key items in child rearing as well. Discipline is one of them, education is another one, and the child's heart is another one. And next week I'm probably going to go into the details a little bit more about the importance of each and how they interlink. We often separate things and don't understand that they're all one. And like my wife was just saying, love, discipline is a huge part of love, and the Bible even tells us if we don't discipline our kid, we hate them. That's pretty strong words, and that's not what I'm saying. That's what the Bible says. So love is a huge part of discipline. Discipline is a huge part of love, and we often try to put little things in their little corners, and we don't comprehend that they work together, and they're a part of each other, and you have to incorporate all of it for it to work properly.
Right, exactly.
What we want to show today is, I guess I'm not going to put a graph up, I don't think, but basically we can have 4 boxes here, and we're going to talk about the discipline and the attention, as I've already mentioned. And so the high of both, high discipline, high attention, the high or the low, the opposite end here, the low attention, low discipline, the high attention, low discipline, and then the low
discipline, high attention.
yeah.
That's right. It's a lot of boxes.
So anyhow, with those two, the attention and the discipline, when you have them properly focused, which is both high, you'll rear a good kid.
Yes.
You'll rear a kid that will
very
be
happy child.
a very happy child and very happy parents.
Yes, indeed.
And when you have high of one and low of the other, indifferent of which one is high and which one is low, you're going to have a child that's not proper. And if you have low of both, you're also going to have a child that's not proper. So let's go ahead and start down here with
Yes.
the low of both. And the low of both, if you have low discipline and low attention, you're going to rear a child that is resentful. You're going to rear a child that hates you. You're going to rear a child that is bitter against you. You're going to rear a child who doesn't want to have anything to do with you because you didn't have anything to do with them. And we sometimes think that if we just let our kids do whatever they want to
follow their heart.
Yeah. The Hallmark adult model, follow their heart, follow your heart is an ingredient for destruction. And when we don't give them any attention and we don't give them any discipline, we leave them to their own ways, we leave them to themselves. You'll notice that the rich parents try to buy off their kids, but they don't give them any discipline, they don't give them any attention. And these kids, they have everything that money can buy, but they're very bitter against their parents. They're very
maladjusted.
Yes, they're
indeed.
very awkward. Not awkward is not the right word, but they don't want to have anything to do with their parents. And we think, even in Christendom, that if we buy our kids a lot of stuff, that we're loving them. No, you're not. Yes, giving them and that is a part, a small part, but we need to give them a whole lot more attention than things.
Let's clarify here what the word attention means in this context. Attention does not mean the TV's on and you're like, yeah, what do you want? That is not attention. And unfortunately, it's a more common form of parenting today. Attention means quality time. Turn the TV off and get with your child. Play with them, read to them, go explore nature with them. That's a very good character builder. Spending time with them in teaching, in play, in training. Spending time, quality and quantity. Children need both. Adults need both, quality and quantity. And because of the advent of cell phones and television, quite frankly, today we spend very little time with our children.
Yes.
Children who attend traditional schools rather than homeschool are already away from their parents upwards of 8 hours a day.
That's just with school. Forget activities. Forget
Exactly.
Else.
And then all of a sudden they come home and you, mom and dad, are trolling Facebook. It's not scrolling, it's trolling. You're doom scrolling. You're addicted to watching any news source. Forget whether it's good or bad. Enough is enough. We don't spend time together as a family. And so when we refer to attention, it means quality time and quantity. Get that TV off, turn off your computer, and put down that stinking cell phone. Stop scrolling Facebook. Stop watching the news. Spend time with your kids.
And we'll like we're doing, we'll go through each phase of life with the kids and give you ideas of time with each age group. You're not going to do the same thing with a baby that you're going to do with a teenager. Obviously, you're not going to go play soccer with a 1-year-old. A 2-year-old, you can bounce or roll the ball to the kid, and but anyhow. So the attention there that we need to give them, and that, like my wife mentioned there. So if you don't give your kid any attention, you don't give them any discipline. Sorry, you're gonna have a spoiled, not spoiled.
Resentful.
You're gonna have a resentful child. On the other hand, if you have a child where you only have discipline, you have a bunch of rules. You haven't trained them. You don't give them time, but you have a bunch of rules. You're a dictator in your home. Without that time together, without that investing quality time with that child, now you won't have, they will have some resentment as well, but you'll rear a rebellious child.
Right.
They're going to look at every way, and they're going to learn very quickly how to break every rule you make. And if you're not spending time with them, if you're not loving them, if you're not involved in their life, and all you have is a bunch of rules. Now, I'm for rules, don't get me wrong, and we'll teach you how to establish those rules later. But if all you have is rules and you don't have time with that kid, you're going to build a rebellious kid.
And this is a common problem in the Baptist realm,
The
in
fundamentalists
that
especially. Yeah.
we have a lot of rules and we've never explained to our teenagers. And I would say starting about 6th grade, they comprehend it. So, you know what maybe we call middle school, taking the time to teach your child why biblically. Now, I know part of the problem is you, parent, don't know why biblically because nobody taught you. We were there too. And we have done a lot of research to know why we believe what we believe. And we can tell you and teach you biblically why. Your child needs to know this. And within fundamentalism, we are seeing rebellion in mass of our young people walking out into the grace movement, into the world never to return. And I think a lot of it is our fault for not taking the time to spend time and explain why.
And even if you have even if you don't know all the rules that you're, anyhow, we'll go there another day. But if you only have rules and you don't have time with them, even if you've explained to them why you do all these things, but you don't have time with a kid, you're still going to build a rebellious child. You have to have that time with them. You have to invest time with that child. As they're growing up, you need to be, and truthfully, to train them, like my wife was saying, to teach them all this will take a lot of time. And so that is a large investment of your time in that child. But if you only have discipline, if you only have rules, if you only have no's, you'll create a rebellious,
Very rebellious
child. Now, if you have no rules and all you have is time with that child, all you do is a lot of things that they enjoy. You'll create a spoiled child. And boy, do we see this in the grocery store today.
Society as a whole is one giant spoiled child.
Yes, you look at everything is offensive to everybody. Why? Because they're a bunch of spoiled brats. And that's your fault, by the way.
As a parent.
As a parent, that's my fault for rearing our kids the way we did. Hopefully we didn't do that, and I don't think we did. But as a society, we, as the parents of college-age children now, our generation, it's our fault that our kids today are a bunch of spoiled idiots who want their way, and they don't even know what their way is.
They're just throwing tantrums.
They're just spoiled brats who have no clue about anything. And that's because we gave them everything they wanted, and we didn't discipline. We didn't put any rules there. We didn't put a structure. We didn't put. We didn't teach them no. All we did was let them have their way with attention. Now, if you just let them have their way without giving them attention, then you're going to have that resentful child. So there's a difference there. But if you have a high attention, a high giving, a high not disciplining, not controlling, but letting them do what they want to, and all your time together is what they want to do and not what you want to do. As an adult, as a parent, we do want to invest time in that child, but a lot of that time that we're investing in them is purposeful, not just a bunch of no reason time. Okay, it's quality time with a reason behind it. And when you only have a lot of playing, a lot of doing what they want, a lot of just giving them what they want, although you're together a lot and you have no discipline, then you'll create a spoiled brat. And we see that everywhere today.
Yes. And if you look at this system, I want to point out in society, because if you're an adult of any age, you are noticing the absolute disaster that has come out from this current college age. But I want us to think about this, that if you go back 3 generations to kind of the Victorian period, you had no attention, and the nanny did everything.
Right.
And it produced a resentful generation
Mm-hmm.
who then produced a rebellious generation of the 70s, which has now produced the completely out of control, literally adults throwing temper tantrums, spoiled generation. So as a parent, we have to take a stand and say it stops here,
Right.
at this house. No more, enough. We're going to do this right.
One wrong child rearing philosophy will lead to a different, and the next generation wrong. A rebellious, like she was just saying, if all you have is rules, 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 the next generation will have no rules, and they'll have the other side. And so you'll create. No, they won't imitate you because they hated you and hated the way you did it. But they'll go off and do a different wrong way. And so there's 3 wrong ways out of the 4 to rear our children, and most of us are in one of those 3 areas instead of in the proper way. And the proper way is a lot of discipline, a lot of control, a lot of structure, but at the same time, a lot of time, quality time, a lot of training, a lot of investment there, a lot of acquiring that child's heart. And so that's how we try to train our kids. That's how we try to rear our kids. We did have a lot of structure. We did have the rules that our kids had to follow. And people would look at us and wonder, why in the world are we not letting our kids do this? And why in the world are we preventing our kids from this or that? Our kids did not have a cell phone until they went to college.
Yep.
And
They survived, guys. Yours can too.
and people questioned us. We had even distant family members who, what in the world are you doing? But at the same time, our kids weren't busy on their phones and on their computers because they didn't have any of either, and they were busy with us, and we were busy with them. And we, I believe, have 3 wonderful kids who love us to death. And they're all married right now. They married this year, last year, in 2020, and one married 2021, January the 2nd. It's almost 2020. But every time we get together, we still hug each other, and often, not every time, but often I'll get a kiss from my 3 boys. And you don't see that even in teenagers, much less kids who have their own mates coming up and giving their parents a hug and a kiss. And every time we get together, we have a lovely time. There's everyone that sees us together can clearly see that there's a strong love between us.
And they still come to us for advice, and that is also something you rarely see these days, where young people go to their parents for advice. It's becoming less and less frequent, and that's a tragedy. So we do know this works.
Yes.
I will say this real quickly before we have to close. We explained attention. I want to explain really quickly discipline. Discipline is not
We'll have more time for that
disciplining
next
a
week,
child because you're embarrassed.
Right, and we'll explain
It's
that.
for a purpose. So.
We'll have a whole session on just how to have right discipline, because that is completely misunderstood as well. We think of discipline in a non-biblical way. We think of it as a dictatorial way, and although there's a space for that, yes, yes, no, no, yea, yea, no, yea, 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 nay, nay, as the Bible says. But like my wife said, we do have a very misunderstanding of what discipline truly is. And a true discipline, every time I had a discipline session with my children, we left that discipline session with a stronger relationship than when we went into that discipline session. And so a true discipline and correct discipline is relationship building, not destroying. But again, today, the way of control, just controlling your child's life is not discipline either. There's a place for that and a level for that, and we don't have time to get into that today because our time's already out. Mm-hmm. But again, focusing on the 2, having high discipline, high attention, not leaving them to themselves, not high one, low the other, so that we can have children that love us, and that we love them. Thank you for spending time with us again in one more episode of Building Families